Alright, right off the top, I want to say that I'm going to keep this easy to understand, so even if you don't know much about coding or anything, this will still make sense. And if you are a nerd who wants to get into specifics, I don't know, go look in that box over there. Alright, action! Onryo, where have you been all this time? Well, you see, university is a lot of work. But in between my doing of that work, I found some time to design a new level request system for Geometry Dash. Now, since I know some of you watching this don't have any context on what I'm talking about, before I get into what I've changed, let's go over how the system currently works. And the current system we have is... what's the word? I cover how it works in this video, but the TLDR is that in Geometry Dash, you have the 22 main levels, which give you in-game rewards for beating them, and in addition to those main levels, users can create their own levels and upload them for anyone to play. Now, 99.99% of these levels are absolute garbage. Lots of them are unfinished, some are private copies of levels that only a few people can see, or it's one of umptillion copies of a level that already exists, and a lot of them were just made by 8-year-olds that didn't know what they were doing. At time of writing, there are 135.5 million user-created levels, and out of those, only about 52,000 have been rated. So we've ended up in a situation where we have to decide which one out of every 2,596, which is 0.035% for those of you playing along at home, will be able to get rated. How do we currently solve this problem? Well, currently the only person in existence with the authority to rate levels is the creator of the game, RobTop, which means yes, he has to manually review every single level before it can be rated. Now, thankfully, this is not the entire system. He doesn't just look through a pile of 135 million levels hoping to find something good. The other part of the system is the GD moderators, which act as liaisons between regular users and RobTop. I don't know how many mods there are, it's probably unknowable, but it's more than 2, which means it's much easier to send your level to a moderator than to send it directly to RobTop. So instead of millions of people all putting their levels in a massive pile on RobTop's desk, millions of people put their level in piles on the desks of different moderators. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly this. Mods can pick which levels they look at however they want. Let's make a note of that. Anyway, once a mod has looked at a level, they choose to either ignore it if they don't think it's good, or if they do think it's good, they can send the level to RobTop along with a rating of quality and difficulty. And at this point, 2 very important things are the cause of a lot of suffering in the GD community. The first is that RobTop is not always online and looking at levels. This is kind of to be expected, he's one person. And the second has to deal with how mods send the levels to RobTop. You would think that the level goes at the back of the line, but no, levels are sent to the front. Why does that matter? Because it means that this can happen.
Alright, your level is good. Go get in line.
I'm going to rate some levels now. Okay, that's all for today.
And the only way to get back to the front of the line is to go find a different moderator and have them resend your level to the front. So, what can be done? Well, to recap, users send their levels to moderators who, in turn, send them to RobTop. Now remember, mods can look at levels however they want, which means that we can modify this part of the process however we want. And that's exactly what the program I spent a week and a half creating does. See, right now, basically every moderator uses a Google form to take requests during live streams, and picks randomly from the form. Now, picking completely randomly means that over a dataset this large, someone will get skimmed out on even if they've been waiting for a long time. And one of the main jobs of our program is to provide an alternative to picking completely at random. Now, before we begin, it's best that we clarify some things. And in this instance, we want our program to be used by moderators to select levels, take live requests from a Google form, since this is how most moderators already do it, and they won't have to change their system, and pick a random level with adjusted odds based on the properties of the level. Let's clarify that last point. Every level has certain attributes: how old it is, the difficulty, whether or not the creator has creator points, how many times it's been submitted to the moderator, the times of each of those submissions, etc., etc. And the idea is that certain levels should have priority over others. And here we are treading into dangerous waters because we are gatekeeping which levels should be seen by a hypothetical moderator. So before we do anything, we should lay out some ground rules. A moderator should only reject levels if 1. The level has already been played by the moderator. 2. The level has already been rated. And 3. The level is filtered, which we will cover in a second. Any level that doesn't fall under these conditions should have a chance of getting picked. But now we need to decide which properties of a level should make it more likely to be seen by a moderator. Now, the following is just my opinion, and you may disagree with me, but the point of this isn't a finalized system, it's just a proof of concept meant to start a discussion on how we ensure smaller creators aren't left behind. That being said, the big one here is submissions. I've lost count of how many times I've been in a level request stream and someone in the chat says something like, "I've been in 12 streams and my level hasn't been played." To fix this, the odds of a level being played should be proportional to the amount of times the level's been submitted. Now, people can and will spam the forums like it's for survival, so we'll have an anti-spam measure in place, and I'll explain it later on in the video. Second, I think older levels should have some kind of advantage in the random selection because, on average, the older a level is, the more effort their creators have put into getting it rated. And this would also give people some comfort, knowing that the annoying wait times for their level to get played is actually materially giving their level a better shot. Third, creators that don't have creator points should be preferred over people who already do. Any creator will tell you that getting your first rated level is the hardest one, and I like the idea of easing the burden on those people. After all, after you make your first rated level, people start remembering who you are and keeping an eye out for your new projects, as evidenced by all of your comments. Mind you, I've only made 2 decent levels, and people won't shut up about when I'm going to make something new. Now, I'm a bit of an extreme case given that I'm a YouTuber, so more people know about me, but it applies to all creators on some level. Some of the replies that I got in response to this video were something to the effect of, "It's not that hard, bro. You just gotta know a moderator." Seriously, that advice doesn't work for a monthly player base this large. And finally, mods have their own preferences on levels that they want to play. Some don't play platformers, some only play platformers, some don't play demons, while occasionally mods will do demon-only streams. So whatever program we make should take the level info from the form and let the moderator filter by levels that they want to play. This way, people still get credit for showing up to streams, and moderators can more easily switch between filters without having to adjust the stream settings and the form settings and all of that. If we look back at the world's most oversimplified diagram, we see that viewers submit to mods via a Google form. So if we want to insert our program between the Google form and the moderators, that means we'll have to get the information from Google into our program. And while we're here, I'm programming this in Java, and before you say anything, I know it's not perfect for this, but I'm very comfortable in Java and I can write code in it very quickly. I didn't want to take the time to refresh myself on C++, and I am not using Python because it's garbage. No further questions. So Google, how do we get the info from the form into our program? Where did you get this receipt from? That's the instructions? No, I'm calling my stream mod. Yo, how do I get the information from a Google Sheet into my program?
Yeah, like a Java program?
Yeah.
I've literally done that before. All you need, you just take this file I made, add the Google URL, and it gives you all the data.
Really? Wow, that was unbelievably convenient. Okay, so apparently the hardest part was literally already solved. Okay, so the program has all the information it's going to need, but right now it's all in a massive pile that we can't use. So step 1, sort the info. The first thing the program does is split the massive info dump by submission. So basically it says, this is a submission, and then it writes down the person who submitted it, the time it was submitted, the level that's being requested, and some details about it. Doing this lets the program get all of the information it needs really easily and whenever it wants. But we aren't done because mods don't look at submissions, they look at levels. So after slicing up all of the information, it sorts it into piles. It does this in exactly the same way a human would. It picks up the submission and looks at the level ID. If it's seen that number before, it puts that submission into the pile labeled with that ID. And if it hasn't seen it, it makes a new pile and labels it with that number. Now there's just one more step before we get silly with it. Everything up until now is just the system we already have. So from here, once all of the submissions have been sorted, the program needs to account for the storage. The storage is a record of every submission the program has ever seen, and it is saved on whatever computer is running the program. Now the storage is already sorted by submission in the same way as before, because everything in the storage was at one point part of that original data pile. Here, the program looks at every pile of submissions and looks at the ID attached. Then it goes and looks through the entire storage and sees if it has a pile of old submissions for that ID. And if it does, it takes that stack out of storage and plops it right on top of the stack of submissions that it started with. And if it doesn't have any record of that ID, then it just works off of the submissions that it has. One important thing to make note of is that if the storage has a pile of submissions for a level, but that level isn't in the current request pile, then those old requests will be ignored. This means that if a level isn't currently being requested, it can't get picked no matter how many old submissions that it has. After a quick process of filtering out the levels and ignoring the ones based on the filters we discussed earlier, the time has come to actually pick a level for the mod to play. In the current system, each level is chosen completely at random, but this program weighs the levels based on something called their score. Now, how is the score calculated? Well, like this, obviously. The biggest factor in the score of a level is the size of the submission stack, but there is a catch, and that is bots and alt accounts. Yeah, people will take advantage of any weakness our system has, and some people use bots and alt accounts to spam forms with requests for their level. Well, luckily the current system already has something we can use to combat this. Every once in a while, the moderator will reset the Google form and clear all of the responses. This often happens multiple times per stream, and it basically always happens between streams. So what our program does is that it only counts one submission per level per reset. So even if someone has alt accounts spamming 20 requests in a minute, our program only cares about the first submission during that reset. This means that the amount of submissions and the amount of submissions that the program cares about can be way different. And by this point, we're almost done. The rest of the multipliers are pretty simple. For example, if the creator doesn't already have creator points, then we'll multiply the level score by 1.2, and leave it alone otherwise. The only other mildly complicated one is the age of the level, but in general, the older a level is, the more favor it has. And this annoying looking equation just says that the oldest level score gets multiplied by 4, and the newest level gets multiplied by 1. And every level in between gets some multiplier in between. Now that we have all of the scores calculated, we can spin the wheel to pick a level. But as it turns out, computers don't know what a wheel is, so we have to... this script is so long. Alright, TLDR, just know that I figured it out and the program works. Now this system isn't perfect, and I'm not expecting it to be. Maybe you have different ideas about what makes the level deserving of being played by mods. This program is designed for the mod side of the rating system, but I would be more than willing to design something for the RobTop side. Possibly with the collaboration of mods or developers if they're willing. Also, my favorite part about this project is that it isn't hypothetical. The issue with so much of the debate about the rating system is that people talk about solutions that have no chance of getting implemented, either because they wouldn't work or because Rob wouldn't do it. And going back to our note from earlier, mods can select levels however they want, so we don't need RobTop to approve this change. This solution could get implemented tomorrow, but that only happens if people remember that things don't have to stay the way they are. And the work is by no means done. Even before finishing the script, I have plenty of ideas on how to improve this system. The first one that comes to mind is making it a mod for GD. And if it was a mod, you could do so many useful things with it that I can't even get into all of them. Least of which being that you could get level info directly from GD instead of having viewers submit it. You could also keep track of level requests between moderators, or let people request their levels directly in the game.
Which is the way that it already should be.
Look, I love the level request streams. I like the idea of people getting immediate feedback and being able to watch other people's reactions to their level. There is real value in knowing people's honest reaction to what you've made, but it is wild that there is still no way to request levels in-game, and it is insane that we have just been ignoring this problem as a community for like 10 years. So, yeah. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment on your thoughts. Did you like the project? Did you not? Do you have your own ideas about how the rating system could be improved? I would genuinely like to hear them. And with all of that said, I will see you next time. Bye.